Hello, good morning, and welcome to this Dawn Busters Taste Challenge. We have two 90 proof rye whiskeys, both from Indiana, and they are produced at by the same distillery in Indiana, Lawrenceburg, Indiana, and with the same mash bill percentages 95% rye, 5% malted barley. How you like that? For the same company, Diageo. So they're contract produced for the same company, Diageo. Okay, here is George Dickel Rye, established 1870. Now, how long have they been making the rye whiskey? I don't know, but probably for a long time because George Dickel has been around since the 1870s, and they pioneered chill filtering, so they always tout the chill filtering. Okay, there's a history on one side and a history on the other side, so they make a big production out of it, and then there's more on the back. Okay, I bought this at Walmart, and they had it on discount for $12.50. True story, $12.50, full size bottle. Couldn't pass it up. They also had the Superior number 12. Same thing, $12.50. I bought two full size bottles for $25 plus tax. Crazy. Sounds incredible. Sounds like a made up story, but I have a witness because he bought one himself, David, my friend David. So here is the competitor, Bulleit Rye. Now, I do know what year this one was introduced because it tells you on the website, 2011, 12 years ago at the time of this recording. So this was introduced in 2011, also using the 95 to 5 percentage, okay? 95% rye whiskey, 5% malted barley whiskey, all right? And 90 proof. Let me make sure I put that in my notes. Yeah, 90 proof. Okay, now we're going to look at the differences. It says there's more similarities than differences. They're both produced in Indiana at Lawrenceburg, at the Lawrenceburg Distillery, okay? By Midwest Grain Products for Diageo. They're both 90 proof. They're both made with the same mash bill, 95% rye, 5% malted barley. Now let's start looking at differences. All right. This says Charcoal Mellowed by George A. Dickel Company. Doesn't say straight rye either. It just says rye whiskey. Interesting. Chill filtered. It says on the side, chill filtered. Mellow as moonlight. Okay. Charcoal mellowed. That means they drip it through charcoal. A common purification method for whiskey. Chill filtering also common for filtering it. Distilled in Lawrenceburg, Indiana. Bottled by George Dickel Company, Norwalk, Connecticut, which is owned by Diageo. Anything you see Norwalk, Connecticut, it's coming from Diageo typically. Okay, let's see. Real fast. Filtered through sugar maple charcoal, just like Jack Daniels. Filtered through sugar maple. Let's put that on there. Notes. chill filtered rye whiskey, and sugar maple charcoal mellowed. I think they do that in Tennessee. They distill it in Indiana, but they do the charcoal mellowing where they got their equipment in Tennessee. We start with the finest distilled rye whiskey in the world, the finest, but I got it for $12.50. Then we finish it in the classic way. We finish it the classic way that George Dickel pioneered by chilling our rye whiskey and filtering it through sugar maple charcoal from our local woods. This creates our signature smoothness with spicy rye notes, subtle hints of sweet vanilla, and a mellow dry finish. And they didn't mention it also tastes like Flintstone vitamins. Okay, so why is it not straight rye? I can't figure that out. Because there's no age statement. All right. So if there's no age statement, what does that tell us? That tells us it's at least 4 years old. Because if it's younger than 4 years old, it has to have an age statement. There is no age statement. So it's at least a 4-year-old age at least 4 years in new charred oak barrels. New. I looked at the regulations this morning for rye whiskey. To be a rye whiskey, it must be aged in new charred oak barrels. You can age it in used barrels, but then it's not called rye whiskey. It could just be called, you could call it blended whiskey and then give the percentages. You could say blended whiskey, produced from 95% rye and 5% malted barley, aged in seasoned oak barrels. Fine, no problem. You can sell it. Can't call it rye whiskey on its own like that. So we know it's aged at least 2 years. We know it's aged at least 4 years, in fact, but 2 years would be the minimum for rye. We know they're using new charred oak barrels. We know all the whiskeys coming from Indiana because it says distilled in Indiana. So what makes it not straight rye? I don't know. Maybe they just don't want to use that term on the label. Maybe it is straight rye, but I think you have to be specific. So it's a mystery. If you can figure out the mystery, let me know because I can't. Here's Bulleit Rye. Bulleit Rye Frontier Whiskey, distilled and aged in the Bulleit family tradition. 45% alcohol, 95% rye. Same thing, straight American rye whiskey. Now here, this one is claiming straight rye. Bottled in Louisville, Kentucky. That doesn't matter. Well, you can bottle it anywhere. Doesn't matter. Okay. It makes no claim to be non-chill filtered. Well, maybe on this tag where it got torn off, but I see no claim that it's non-chill filtered. So you tell me, I don't know. One is straight rye, one is just rye. They're both from the same facility and they both use the same percentage of rye versus malted barley. So that is a mystery. Oh, and did I get a deal on this one? You better believe it. I got the Bulleit Rye for $10 at Walmart, full-size bottle. Sounds crazy? It is kind of crazy, but it's the truth. $10. And you know that didn't last long on the shelves. So I took immediate advantage of it earlier this year. Immediate advantage. This one was about 4 years ago. Still going through it though. Still got most of it left. It's got this neoprene stopper now. The Bulleit has real cork. This has neoprene, which is the spongy rubber they use on the bottom of tennis shoes, sneakers. You've seen it. Made by DuPont. E.I. DuPont de Nemours. Full name of it. Okay. So not from Tennessee, not from Kentucky, but from Indiana, from north of the Ohio River, Yankee land, not Dixieland. Maxwell says, good morning, Ron. Cheers. Cheers to you, Maxwell. course, Southern Indiana, in their thinking, and in their speech patterns, they're more like Dixieland. If you ever go there. And back during the war against the South, or also known as the war to prevent Southern independence, they had a lot of people, a lot of Democrats in Southern Indiana called Copperheads. That's what their nickname was, Copperheads, and they were anti-war, protesting against the invasion. And President Lincoln, that great hero of the left, had the congressmen arrested and deported to this Confederate States of America. He said, "You're not going to speak out against this war. This is a free country, and I'm going to show you." Took the guy and pushed him over into the Confederacy and said, go stay with them since you're pro-Confederate. You cannot speak out against the war in this free country. And they put that president on the penny. Well, that's about right, a penny. But not even worth a penny. Okay, anyway, but that's another story for another day. But see, you can learn about history from whiskey. And you can learn about geography from whiskey. And you can learn about climate, which is part of geography, you see. And you can learn about politics and government. So it's very interesting. You learn about government because of the regulations. That's government regulations. The story behind the whiskeys, that's history. The weather, the climate, the soil, the water, that's geography. Geography is the study of the earth and its people. So whiskey is educational. No, I mean, appearance. Well, they're both the same copper appearance, so the appearance doesn't matter. Now, Diageo did not start Bulleit Distilling, and Diageo did not start George Dickel Distilling. No, they were simply acquired by Diageo over the years. As we know, in the world of beer, wine, and liquor, what is one of the most common things in the world of beer, wine, and liquor? You guessed it right, buyouts, selling out. People will say, "I drink Stone beer. I don't drink those sellout beers. They're a bunch of sellouts." Oops, well, too bad. If your favorite beer company is part of your heart because they never sold out, you might get your heart broken sooner than later. Okay. I found a Canadian whiskey yesterday. Well, actually, I found it months ago. I saw that thing years ago, but I never bought it. I bought it yesterday, but I had seen it for years. Didn't know a thing about it. I said, Harwood. Is that some kind of made-up company? But I suspected it was not. I said, I bet you it isn't. And it wasn't. It was a real company called Duncan Harwood from Vancouver, Canada, of all places. When you think of Vancouver, Canada, right, you don't think of whiskey distilling. But there used to be a big distillery there, and back in the 1950s, Harwood's apostrophe S was a big brand, pretty famous in Canada, Western Canada mostly, and sold in the United States here and there. They had some ads for it. They had a following. I ain't saying it had a huge following, but it had a following. And but something happened. I was reading an article. He was saying something about a huge tax evasion case that the company got wrecked for tax evasion. But he didn't cite any sources, so I'm just say, well, you're saying that, but you're not giving me any. You're not laying down nothing but air, But it did disappear, and he must have been right because I saw an ad from 1970 saying Harwood is back. Not Harwoods. They changed the name. Harwood, no apostrophe S, is back. And then he went on to say, oh, if you were old enough to drink liquor during World War II, you probably remember Harwoods, and it was so light and so forth. And then they were saying, oh, we didn't make enough to sell it in the U.S. anymore, so we stopped. They didn't talk about the tax evasion case. They said, but it's back. And it's still light and smooth. Oh, yay. But it was no longer 90.4. It used to be 90.4 proof. Now it's 80 proof. But then if you saw the new ads, I'm driving home the point. If you saw the new ads, they said Joseph Seagram's company. I said, oh. So they swooped in and picked up the pieces of it. Probably bought it at a low price. And then that happened to them. The buyouters became the buyout. The people doing all the buyouts, Seagram's, who was known for that, they ended up becoming a buyout. Oh my goodness. And now look, Anheuser-Busch went around buying everybody up. Now they sold a bunch of stuff last week. You never know. And maybe you got more selling coming, huh? It smells like minty bread crust, full. It's a full nose. It has a lot of character. Has a lot of presence, as we like to say when we showing off. All right, so that's a nice smelling rye. And these run about the same price, so you're not going to save money one versus the other. You can pay 25 or you can pay 25. You see. Yes. And or you can go to Walmart like I did and get them for an incredible price. But that's almost assuredly not going to happen. Okay, less presence here. They're the same whiskey, but they're not really the same. I don't think they use the same rye whiskey. I don't think they use the same bourbon. And I definitely don't, the same malted barley. And I definitely don't think they use the same yeast. No. Not much aroma going on over here. So let's go with the taste. Cheers. All right. Mint. Maybe that wintergreen gum or spearmint. Couldn't say the white label. Rye bread crust. The malted barley is only 5%, so that's not going to evidence itself too much. It might just tweak it out. What about the charcoal mellowing, the chill filtering? Oh, I guess those will all play a factor. I think they used to play a bigger factor here, though. They'll play a bigger role here, though. They don't play a factor. It is a factor. Sorry, using the wrong terminology. Craig Swinson says, I'll bet you only gave Blue Moon a favorable review because they gave you that shirt. Well, you got me right. I'm joking. No, they did send me the shirt. Actually, they sent me the shirt and they saw the video, which I gave it a C. True story. My daughter gave it an A, but I gave it a C. I said it was okay. So. I've changed my opinion. I think it's good now. But I just told them, look, I made a video. I didn't say, please send me something or give me stuff. I didn't say that. I just said, this was 2014 or whatever, 2013. I said, I made a video about your beer. And they sent me 2 t-shirts. No, 1 t-shirt, 4 Blue Moon glasses. I gave 2 to my daughter, kept 2. They gave me a Blue Moon bottle opener, which you don't need because it's twist cap, and some Blue Moon doilies, which you call, to put the wet glasses on so you don't mess up the wood on your table or countertop or whatever. So, if a wood surface. So, yeah. I never asked. I just thought they'd be curious to know that. They were curious. They were happy. Okay. Whoa. A lot mellower, or if you want to say smoother, okay. Mellower, get it? Mellowed. Charcoal mellowed. George Dickel. Yeah. It's got a little bit of that Flintstone vitamin thing going on, just a little bit. Now, if you get the George Dickel Cascade Hollow 3-year age that they don't make anymore, they only made it for a few years. But they might bring it back. They didn't say they got rid of it. If you read the website, it says not currently being produced. All right, but I got a bottle, right, when it was on the market for a year or so. I think it was on the market 3 years. And the George Dickel 12, Superior 12, those taste like Flintstone vitamins, like the grape, I think. Oh, it might have been that fruit punch. They had weird flavors. Me and my sister always be fighting over the grape. That was our favorite one. They still make them. Flintstone vitamins. Made by Bayer, 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 makes sense. I think they're close, but I prefer the Bulleit. I think the Bulleit's got a little more excitement with it. I'm not going to say it's better, though. It's just, to me, more exciting. It's got more full flavor. Maybe the charcoal mellowing makes it too dull or something. Now, some people will say, oh, well, Jack Daniels, that's not a bourbon because they use charcoal mellowing. Therefore, it's just a Tennessee whiskey. Sorry, but that's not true. We just have one little technical problem when you bring that up. Charcoal filtering has absolutely no relevance to the definition of whether a whiskey is bourbon or not bourbon. Okay, so the answer is that Jack Daniels is a bourbon whiskey, but it is not sold as, it is marketed as Tennessee whiskey. Yes, it is Tennessee whiskey. It's made in Tennessee. It's a bourbon whiskey made in Tennessee. Simple as that. And they sell it as Tennessee whiskey. If you go on the tour, they spend 25 minutes telling you how bourbon is made, meaning how Jack Daniels is made. And they talk about how Jack Daniels follows the strict requirements for bourbon, which it does. And then they say, and we charcoal mellow it like this Dickel here, and therefore it can't be called a bourbon. It's called a Tennessee whiskey. No, they're wrong there, or they're just lying, or they're ignorant of their own product. Because no, they choose not to call it bourbon. All right. If you watch the movie The Shining, which I don't like that movie because it doesn't make any sense, but plus I don't really like movies of any sort, but he says, give me a bourbon, and the guy pours in Jack Daniels. Excellent choice, sir. He says something like that. Now the guy doesn't stop him and say, oh, the ghost or whatever, or this figment of his imagination doesn't say, oh, well, that's not a bourbon. See, that's what would happen if they made The Shining in 2023. He would ask for a bourbon, and then the guy would give him a lecture. Well, it's not really a bourbon because it's a Tennessee whiskey and it's charcoal mellowed. And then hopefully he would get attacked. He would attack the ghost because he's wrong. It is a bourbon. All right. Anyway, that being said, we know these are both rye whiskeys. What we don't know, well, you might know. I don't know. If you could tell me, I'd appreciate it. I mean, I really would appreciate it. I'm not kidding. I guess I could write an email to Dickel and say, why is this not listed as straight rye? Why is it just listed as rye? Maybe I'll do that. I don't know if I'll get an answer. But it couldn't hurt. Like, what would it hurt? I could say, look, I'm doing videos and I was talking about the video, and I don't have to say all that. Nah. I'll just ask them. But see, a lot of times they'll ask, like, who do you work for? Like, they'll want to know, are you a merchant? I've had companies ask me that. Are you a distributor or something? I'm like, no. I'm just a customer. Oh. Yeah. So, just a curiosity. Oh, now I'm noticing a lot of oak here. Charred oak. Don't notice that over there. So charred oak, very minimal Flintstone vitamin. You know what? Maybe I don't prefer. Maybe I don't prefer the Bulleit Rye. I'm telling you, maybe I don't prefer it. They just have their own character. They're similar, but they're not similar. You know what I'm saying? They're like half and half, halfway alike and halfway different. So, yeah, it's a tie down the line. They're both green labels, typical for rye. They both have a green label, typical for rye. Like I said, they're both from Indiana. They're both 90 proof. They're both 95% rye, 5% malted barley. They both cost the same, but they don't taste the same. All right. So my example to you, you like that? My example to you is that both of these are Distillery Bonnaroo, and you could pay $50 and get 2 full bottles, and you got a lot of fun. I mean, in a good, responsible way. You see what I'm saying? Like to me, fun is like tasting them and talking about them and trying to learn about them, not going crazy like people. Oh, I was wild last night. I feel so bad today. That's not fun to me. Heavy drinking is not fun to me. I do other stuff for fun, like go for a walk, watch football, watch baseball, do exercises. That's fun to me. Okay. So this is about as Thai as a Thai can be. And I still haven't picked which one is which. So I'm thinking, like I said, this is the Bulleit. It is. Haha, I got it. Got it wrong once. Got it right 3 times. I'm hoping it'll be a good average after I'm done. I hate to get them wrong, but sometimes it happens because it's not because I'm careless usually. It's because they're hard. They're hard to do. You think it's easy? Well, you get on here and do live taste challenges. You get on the internet and do live taste challenges. I'll watch. Y'all know I'll watch. Look at all the comments I make all day long on people's videos. Or as some people might say, on people videos. People videos. Come on, use good grammar, y'all. All right, take care. So tomorrow, I'm planning to do another exciting taste challenge with another rye whiskey, obviously. Thank you. Bye-bye.